Welcome, Tiny Hands Big Dreams, here in the homestead in Southern Ecuador. I want to talk about something that maybe you haven't heard about, that isn't really covered in any sort of news media, the Ecuadorian gold rush.
Who knew?
Who knew?
We didn't know.
We didn't know. I mean, like, we knew that there was like a little bit of gold mining. There's officially 2 big mines not far from here. We're in their country, but they're like big, deep mines, big international concerns. Nope, there's a lot more to it than that.
No, we are, for reference of where in the country we are.
Sure.
Because I don't think this is true for the entire country.
No.
We are in the Southern Oriente.
Yeah.
Zamora province.
Yeah, closest big city is Yanzaza. Now, what is happening is the entire southern mountain range in Ecuador, and I guess the same thing is also the case in Peru on the other side of the mountains on the border. But since there's no real civilization over there, it is a free-for-all of whoever treks out into the end of the Amazon with machinery.
There's not a lot of access to it there.
Satellite photos show some massive levels of damage in mining. It's all unchecked. Now, what is going on in southern Ecuador is a free-for-all of mining. I got a chance to go with an acquaintance. He invited me out to where they're doing it locally. I did not take my camera. It's a bit of a sensitive thing. It's all illegal. Officially, it's totally illegal. There's only 2 official gold mines in the country. That being said, if you drive from, I don't know, El Pangui all the way to Zamora, the entire Southern Oriente, the river is a construction site.
It was not like that 2 years ago when we moved to the area either.
No, it was a lovely, river. I think it's natural. No, there are stacks of gravel, in some cases probably 100+ feet high, with excavators and dump trucks and things, and huge diesel-powered pumps everywhere, massive high bank sluice boxes. There's huge operations going on. Some of them have 10, 20 pieces of equipment, crews of 50 people. Some of them are small, couple, 3 people families.
And it's all illegal.
But
very, very out in the open. Like, it's not secretive.
And it's one of those illegal for a price to local municipalities. Probably some bribes are paid to policemen who come out and like, oh, you can't do this. And then they're sort of okay. Now, my take on it, I've gold mined before in California when it was legal. I had a good time with it. We did it responsibly. We didn't damage anything. We just dredged up the bottom of a river for a bit. Got a lot of gold out of it. It was neat. People here need jobs. They are resourceful. This is a natural resource that everyone looks and they're like, there's either no jobs or I make super low wages, 400 and something a month, or we could start a little gold mining thing, and it's hard work, and it's Old West. It is straight up Old West style camps, shanty roofs, plastic walls, tents inside. A woman there like cooking food for all the miners. Everything gets packed in on backs, on crummy little trails from wherever they can get a road from. The excavators roll up and down the river. I am not against people using the environment in a semi-responsible way to make a job for themselves, to provide for their family, to better their situation. But like all things, it is a 2-sided coin. There is.
I also think it's how far, like how. It's one thing to do it on a very, very small scale, but when you get up to what some of these operations are, I think that's where you get into potential larger ramifications.
There's areas where they have started stacking gravel as you get towards Zamora. 2 football fields, 3 football fields at the base. 100 feet high. Like, it's down in the river, and it's now level with the highway up on the side of the hill. We walked up on one, and it was run by a family, and the lady and one guy were carrying out supplies on their back. Looks like their kids or brothers, somebody out there was out, messing with the dredge. They had an excavator. They had the giant diesel pump in the hole. And as I got closer and closer, I'm like, oh, there's a big hole there. There's a big hole. There's a big. And I get to the edge, and it's about this steep. And they have gone down 60 feet in the river bottom. And they've just put up a little bank around the side to keep the river over there. And you can see all the different layers of the river bottom and rock, and then different mud layers and something. And I don't know the geology of it, but then like huge gray layer. And they're like, whoa. We're talking permanent changes.
Well, that's kind of what I guess I have a bit of concern about. When we're talking about the river, we're talking about the Rio Zamora, which is directly connected to the Amazon, right? Like the Amazon basin.
Yeah, it starts up in Loja, snakes around, is fed in by a bunch of all the valleys, and loops out south over, and then heads out in the Amazon and towards the Atlantic Ocean.
So everything that is happening here does affect the Amazon.
Yeah.
It affects the ecosystem of the river.
We've tried fishing. We can't find any fish.
People say there are fish. I have my theories that there perhaps were fish. I'm pretty sure they have just left this general area of the river.
So there's that. Yeah, then there's chemicals in the environment. So the big mine up past us gets wholesale chemicals out of a place in New Jersey. And I know because they sell the liquid totes, the 250-gallon totes. They sell them used when they're done with them. One of them was called Frother. Stinks horribly. Some sort of weird alcohol ester thing. Part of the gold mining. But I'm like, where does that chemical go? And it has huge poison signs on it. Lethal to fish, lethal to birds, bad for humans. They're getting these things by the container loads. Where's the chemical going? Where does it go? Oh, does it wash downstream? And then we've seen the 20-foot on the back of the tractor trailers where it's the big liquid tank inside of a cage that's the ocean-going containers. Cyanide. We saw one convoy. It was like 6.
Yeah.
And we just happened to be going to or from somewhere that day, and we've seen. And there's another time we saw the same thing. Convoy.
Yeah, you'll see convoys go up and down the highway.
Like, well, that's 20,000 gallons a pop. That was 6 of them. That's 120,000 gallons of cyanide. And we've seen it twice randomly by being on the road. We're not on the road that much for homebodies. Okay, where's the cyanide going? Talking to the one guy, and so in the rivers, there is more pieces as you get deeper, which is kind of what they're after. Technology isn't that good for the fine gold, but unfortunately the bulk of what's there is the fine gold in black sands. So they dredge it down to kind of a crude state of a concentrate, and then they use mercury. Now, it's on my list to go and investigate how they're doing this, but I can imagine that it is done in a crude, unsafe kind of way. Mercury is a really nasty kind of thing. Pouring it in a gold pan and rubbing it around like some black sands, yes, it absorbs the gold and it holds onto it, and then you cook it off. Unfortunately, when you cook it off, the mercury comes off in a vapor state and goes everywhere and deposits on everything and rains down and creates a huge mercury hazard. Can you do it safely? Yeah, you get a retort, you can send it through water, you can reclaim the mercury. Do they have that sort of fancy setup? No. Is there regulations? No. Are they doing it the most economical way without enough information on safety? Pretty sure.
Yeah. So it isn't just an environmental thing, it's also for everyone who's living in the area.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. And this has happened, I mean, it happened in California. It happened in Nevada. It's happened anywhere there's gold going back a period of time. Yeah, mercury is a huge hazard. It is the way it's done. So this is sort of there's a lot of issues here. I'm trying to stay neutral on it.
We try to stay neutral on a lot of things that are Ecuadorian.
Yeah.
Because we we are foreigners. There are sometimes cultural nuances that we don't fully understand. So maybe we sit on the fence more about these sort of things than we do. We're not fence sitters typically in life.
It's.
I think it is just
We're in somebody else's house here, so this is a chance to make money working for themselves, and a lot of people are taking it. They're not rich. They're not driving fancy cars.
They're not looking to get rich either.
So,
and I think that is perhaps something that is important to me. The difference between people who are like, "Well, I just want to get rich off the gold," and they're just trying to get by.
Yeah,
they're just making
a
bit of money.
When you see how they're living, shanty little houses, sometimes stealing power from whatever lines were there, crudely. Very fancy two-way radios, rechargeable. Very fancy lithium headlight flashlights, all in racks, sitting on a hunk of rotting wood with a piece of old electrical cord crudely attached to some wire.
They invested in the important bits.
But their food, their cooking, their things, their bedding, they're super, super crude. Some of these guys, if they do good, they might get a new motorcycle. A new motorcycle is $2,000. That's a lot of rain.
There's a lot of rain coming. Goodness.
We may have to pause for a second. Okay, rain's over. Got really loud. So they're not I don't see a ton of wealth. They're trying to have a living, get a little bit of things. That's kind of what it is.
Which you kind of can't fault them for using what's available to them to do that.
Yeah. Now,
no different than a woodworker. There's plenty of carpenters here who go and cut down trees to build furniture to make money. It is not that much different.
Yeah, but then it just keeps scaling up. Now, one person said that sometimes the government does come in and they'll seize the equipment and the machines and things. Maybe.
I haven't seen it happen.
I haven't seen it happen, but supposedly it is. There is a big part of the economy from Zamora to here is driven from the gold mining. There is a lot of commerce that is now directed at the miners. So we did it in one video. We showed all the places you could buy an excavator.
Yeah.
The different sizes, huge dump trucks, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of road building.
No, not road building.
Yeah, I mean,
I told you it wasn't them.
Rain has passed again. So there's a huge influx of money into the local economies. Yant Zaza is blooming with money. So there's
even small towns around here seem to be doing well. There's one thing we've noticed, and we assume it has to do with the mining, is just a ridiculous amount of giant gas stations.
Yeah, there was one in Zamora, and then I don't know, and another one outside of Zamora, and then one way down. Now there's 7 new ones. There's 3 that just opened. There's 4 that are about to open. There's a couple more where they're just starting to build them. We're do we need this many gas stations? There's only gas is regulated. It's not it's this huge profity thing.
But there may have been some money in opening them.
There may, or it may just be to get diesel. Huge part of our local economy. There's this massive influx of money. Miners come in, they buy groceries. All the hardware stores now have mining supplies.
They're less hardware store and more mining supply store.
Sometimes they took all of the hardware store things and they literally pushed it into the back and jammed it on shelves. Oh, here's a lamp and a thing and some of this and that and a faucet, and it's all just piled in the back. And the entire front of the store is now like hammer drills and things and diesel oil and hydraulic fittings and just wow. Okay, all right. But we can see that the local economy is booming with the influx of the gold money. There's off the main street, there's a whole ton of these gold buyer, gold refiner kind of places. I worry that they're doing mercury evap there.
Yeah.
So, which would just get into the entire environment. My only real concern about that. Now, there's another side of it. Hopefully the rain's not too loud. There's another side of it that is the organized crime that is now following the money.
Mm-hmm.
So we hear about this from my friend down in Zumba by the southern Peru border, which the violence coming from the south is increasing
And that is
rapidly.
That is both. That is mostly gang related, cartel related.
It's cartels. We did a video. I had police in my driveway. They're literally exploring all of the little roads, things, looking for cartel activity.
Even all the way out where we are.
No, solo stupid gringos. No problemo. So that being said, so there's the cartel actions. He was saying that like one of the gold mining, and they're all illegal, but they're a company, was robbed by the cartel. They took 200 grand in gold in one hit. That's just what they had there at that moment. Oh, that's a lot of money out here. So they're getting very sophisticated. They're moving up from the southern border. We're seeing other types of general criminal activity that then is coming up from the south with that. There's been home invasions and murders and things, which we have a tiny bit of info on, but not a lot.
But that's the southern.
So that's coming up from the south. It's just sort of like,
yeah.
It just sort of comes with it.
Now where we are, we're sort of unique because we don't, the only way to get to us from that southern border is through Loja. Which is, and then the pass, and then Zamora. And so I feel like it sort of has a filter.
We're 10 hours
of crime.
Of driving.
Yeah.
So to get from Zumba to Loja is a rough 6-hour drive. Rough road. Small mountainy passes, things. Then you get to Loja. You literally have to go through Loja, which has checkpoints. There's not a way around Loja that doesn't have police checkpoints. Now, they're not manned 24/7. They're sporadic. But there is a chance that if you're a criminal and you're trying to do something criminal, that you're going to roll up and the police are there checking on the road. And they move around a little bit. And that's it. The exits coming in and out of Loja. So that sort of is a pressure valve that keeps some of that back. And then from Loja, we're 3-4 hours further again.
With another path and more checkpoints along the way.
Right, and then from that, we're rural. It's one of those, we're just far away from both sides, from Colombia and from Peru, that it's hard for it to filter in here.
And if you look at a map, while we are on the eastern border of Ecuador, more or less, Peru and Ecuador don't. There's no border there. There's no what do I want to say? There's no access.
No.
From country to country.
You go
along that border.
10 hours all the way to the south, or you go all the way to the north. I don't even know where it is. The Northern Orient has a few access points like across the border, but down here there's mountain.
Nothing.
So there's
you can't even really walk realistically.
No, there's a geography border. So we're protected, but on the other side of those mountains, there apparently is illegal mining on a large scale, which sort of goes along with your rainforest deforestation that they don't want to talk about because it's increasing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a worry. So, I mean, there's good points, there's bad points. The government has its hands full trying to stop a lot of other criminal activity and corruption and things.
And that might be why they're getting away with as much as they are right now, because, I mean, when you're looking at trying to manage the cartels or the illegal gold mining in the river, which one are you going to pick?
Yeah.
One actually doesn't hurt the economy. It actually helps the economy. It just is environmentally not perfect. The other is really terrible.
And is a cancer that will...
It's as a government, that's a good choice to...
Yeah, if there's someone from the government listening, people being us here now, look, I see all the sides of it. My main concern is permanent damage. Like, this is the same thing I would say with my child. My goal is not to prevent pain or things or to super shape your life. Like, I help. My goal is prevent permanent damage. Mercury is permanent environmental damage. You're never going to get rid of it. It is impossible to get it out. If you made that one change of like mercury was illegal, there are other methods. That tiny thing you could at least push it off into the future a bit, get rid of the mercury.
But that gets into the issue. I mean, unfortunately, if you say it's illegal, that doesn't change a whole lot because so is all of the mining.
Yeah.
So you can make it illegal, but if you don't give them a different way of using the resource safely, then they're going to be like, well, it's the only thing I can use. I'm going to use it anyway, even if it's illegal.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a perfect answer.
It's not, but
there could at least be much stricter regulations on the two big mines as far as their chemical waste product.
Yeah, that needs
because that worries me. Because that's on much, much larger scales.
Now, they are international, or at least the one close to us is an international like thing. It's actually Canadian, Canadian company. Are they doing it to an international standard of proper controls and safety?
Maybe.
But
they don't have to.
Would it be great if there was downwind and downstream monitoring in case of, because they used to dump the frother and it would make it here where, I don't know, 10 or 20 kilometers as the bird flies from them. And they would dump the frother every night and the wind would carry it to us. And right about dusky time, 6 o'clock, it would drift across our property and oh my God, the stench. It was so bad. That's a long way off. Now I think they've stopped using that chemical. We've stopped smelling it.
Yeah, we didn't really expect to have any sort of negative anything from the mine. But like, it's far enough away, it doesn't really matter. But that was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Especially since it says right on it, like, lethal to fish. You know the water runs to the big water, where the fish are?
It goes to the Amazon. That's like...
Right.
Let's not totally destroy the Amazon.
Yeah. Preventing permanent damage should be the primary concern. Figuring out some sort of good workable answer that lets the economy thrive, that lets people work, that allows sustainable sort of mining. Look, Ecuador needs to start using its resources to become a more industrious exporting kind of country. It's the way of the world. Permanent damage to children for, you know, how many generations are going to be damaged by the mercury? Emotional disorders, mental disorders.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on. And this is not something you hear about, people talk about. If you're looking for property, this affects you. We've had people come up our road like, oh, can I get an excavator and this and that through your road and up into over that hill? I'm like, no. I don't know if you could or couldn't, but the answer was straight no, it's impossible. The hill is so steep, you will die. I'm not going to tell them there's a way because they'll try to drive an excavator up over the hill. And then this will be the same as everywhere else. So you have that kind of issue. Where they find gold in the rivers, people just start to show up. They just walk up the river and they'll just start mining it. That happens in Zumba, and there's like day and night. There's a mining trail that's apparently it's an 8-hour walk. All of your supplies go in on your back, 8 hours up a crummy trail next to a river. You mine as long as you have supplies for. You could buy supplies from other people at exorbitant prices. You hike back out. It is super, super rough living.
Which I think goes to show you that this isn't done on a whim for people.
No. This is like the Old West. This is like the California Gold Rush, like the stories that I read about in school.
It really is. It's very much the same.
And, you know, the people making money are the people selling shovels and things and supplies in town here. So...
Ecuadorian gold rush.
It's an Ecuadorian gold rush. A couple years ago, it was like this. It was a minor footnote. I know the gold runs all the way to Loja. The guy we bought our goats from has gold teeth now. And we actually talked to the guy who's like, oh yeah, he showed me where he found the nugget up on the top of the mountain. Now he has gold teeth. He's a funny guy. All right. Well, the rain's back. I'm going to call it a good one.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment. Let us know. Hope you learned something. We'll see you for the next one.